All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends, where truth matters. Excited to be with you as always. Interesting topic today. I will be talking about the question that some mainstream media and the intelligence community, especially in the West, and I'll speak for my country, I can speak for others, arguing or stating that the Russians are providing weapons to Hamas. How accurate is this? So, what I'm going to be doing, guys, is I'm going to be sharing with you some insights from some articles that I read pertaining to this topic. I even went as far as, believe it or not, I think 20, either 18, 2020, somewhere around that time, because there's a lot of moving parts into all this. And I want to provide you just a brief analysis about it and answer some questions from you towards the end. But first, let me say hi to the whole community. Good to see you as always, guys, here. Keaton Lang, I imagine American weapons from Afghanistan are too there. I won't be surprised. Hi, Matt Backey, Willie Holman, Thunderbolt. Good to see you. Sorry we missed you last time. Hiri Local, here you are. Truth Seeker, Funds Entertainment. That's an interesting screen name. Taiwan Steel, as always. Farhad Razavi, good to see you. Juan KC, good to see you. Francis Tango, as always. Who else is here? ADZ, hi people. Hi to you as well. So, Atin Wu, as always, good to see you. And Steve, good to see you here. So, all right, guys, let me get into all this here. And again, we're just asking a question. And the reason why I wanted to do this topic, guys, is because I've noticed one or two videos on YouTube, and I kind of like, not again. Once again, it's the community. My role here is not only to provide you knowledge and share with you my own analysis and insights and assessments and all that, but also to protect the community. It's ours. So that's, to me, we're all in this together, guys. It doesn't go one way, it goes both ways. From you as well towards me, and from me towards you. That's how it works. So anyway, I decided to do this topic by asking the fundamental question: is Russia sending weapons to Hamas? Simple as that. So, and this is what we're going to be getting into. Well, again, the reason I wanted to do this is to highlight the big picture. And the big picture is that coming from, as I said, some Western intelligence. I'll start with the Ukrainian intelligence service, which, if you believe in it, trust it at your own peril. So what they're saying is that the Russians are handing over weapons to Hamas fighters. So this is why, anything comes out of Ukraine, are you going to believe it or trust it? But anyway, we're going to go with the arguments, okay, because that's how it works. You go with the arguments, you provide the logical, the pros and cons of that particular argument, then you reach your conclusion based on your own understanding. Simple as that. So what the Ukrainians are saying is that Russia is seeking to exploit the Israeli Hamas conflict. So, and how it does it? By sending weapons. So this is why the Ukrainian intelligence agency are accusing Russia now, sort of, for this particular, well, even hypothetically, and this is just hypothetical, let's just go with the argument, and this is a big hypothetical. Let's just go with the argument that Russia is sending weapons to Hamas. What type of weapon they're going to be sending? So it's going to be the captured weapons in Ukraine that the Russians were able to get a hold of. And I'm going to be providing you some images for you guys to see. I'll give you a quick example. Where is one of them here? Now, here is a US-made Javelin missile. No. Okay? This is an image of a Ukrainian soldiers using this one here. Well, the Russians got a hold of those stuff. So if we are to, and this, by the way, this picture goes way back to 2022, I'm sorry, 2022. And we give a credit to John Moore from Getty Images, because that's the right thing to do. So the idea of, even if we go with the arguments, well, the Russians will be sending to weapons that they've been captured, not the Russian weapons. Why is this important for you guys to know? It's a smart and shrewd move on part of the Russians. Why that is because the weapons that will be used will have, as you know, it's like aircrafts. All aircraft have that tag number, right, to identify the aircraft. The same thing with weapons. They will have certain identification number that associate them with the country where those weapons were produced. It's like your homemade gun, whatever, your gun at home, whatever. When you buy it, it has a serial number. That's how it's tracked. Because this market of the arms sales is a very, very, very complicated. I'll share a quick story with you here, very, very brief. I was one day in one of these Eastern European countries, without stating the exact location. And so I was just walking around in this so-called flea market. And all of a sudden, someone approached me. Of course, they didn't know that I understood the language. And they were talking between each other. Basically, what they were saying is saying, check out this guy who's walking by. And it was about me. And I kind of didn't mind. I kept my own business walking, only to find out that when someone approached me, asked me if I'm interested in some weapons. And I said, what do you have? Just my own curiosity. He said, well, what do you need? And I said, can you get me an RPG? Oh, he said, yeah, you need to come back here at 3 o'clock in the morning. So my point, why am I saying this to you? Of course, it was black market for all that. And to me, it was just like out of curiosity. It's just to highlight to you the complexity of the arms sales. I mean, the example I provide you, it's on a small scale. But imagine when we're talking about major arm deals. And I'm going to be sharing some insights with you regarding this based on what I read from some articles. So the idea that Hamas now is getting all these weapons from Russia, of course, this is what the intelligence services will have to say. This is what, for example, some mainstream media will have to say. You have to always, here is the argument, you always have to justify the narrative and keep the narrative alive, per se. I mean, we all know you, and I know by now, you're smart enough to know the end of where Ukraine is, and how it's going to end. We all know how it's going to end, because Ukraine is done for. But yet, the West, when I say West, NATO, the US included, or headed by that, we're pushing the narrative to keep that momentum going on. That's all it is. So the same arguments can be made about this. Well, let me first share with you, for you to understand the geography of where Hamas is. When we talk about Hamas, we're talking about the Gaza Strip. A lot of people do not even know where it is located. So let me share a screen with you and highlight this for you to see as to where it is. So it is, let me share the screen. There we go. It's an interactive map, and I have another one that I will share with you. So, all right, here it is. Let me make a full screen here just for you guys to see. Okay, it is the. I'm going to be zooming on the other screens for you to see. So I'm going to bring it closer. So this is where you see those dots here going all the way from Ashkelon, the south of Ashkelon. It goes all the way to Rafah. This is where the port of Rafah, the Israeli port, that's been targeted by the Houthis. But for us, for the sake of geography now, we're focusing on this location right here. That's the only area we're looking at. It's very, very, very small. It's not, but it's very, very strategic. And this is one of the things that Israel is having a hard time with controlling. So I'm going to share another one here with you guys, just for you to see. And oh, this one is much better here. That's from World Atlas. So I give credit to World Atlas for this map here. Let me show it to you here. There we go. It's much clearer here, guys, for you to see. Here we go. So when you look at, and I'm going to scroll all the way up here. So if you see on the left side, once I said, there is Gaza, then the Gaza Strip. There is Deir al-Balah, and there is Khan Yunis. Khan Yunis, where the camp is. And so there's a whole region By the way, the Gaza Strip is bordered to the north by the Mediterranean Sea, as you see on the map, and to the south and the east by Israel, and to the west by Egypt. So it's a very strategic. The Gaza Strip was created following the first Arab-Israeli war. So the first one. So it is now the site of frequent conflict. It has been between Israel and Palestine. So the Gaza Strip, by the way, just the square footage for it, it's only about 41 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide. Very, very small and very dense as far as population. So it has a total land area of 365 square kilometers. Not much. And the Gaza Strip shares a border of about 51 kilometers with Israel and 11 kilometers with Egypt. And this is why, when you think about Egypt, this is why Egypt is playing both sides. Egypt, Jordan, and what's the third country? Saudi Arabia. Because we all know what it's for. I'm not going to focus the conversation on that. But you need to understand this aspect of geography to make sense to you. So, well, like I mentioned earlier, I had a chance to read a few other sources to really see the big picture, which I want to share with you here. And I came across an article written by Terence Gouet, and I will provide you the link for it. Very, very interesting article. And he provided both sides of the arguments. One of them as to where Israel gets its weapons from, and the other one where Hamas gets its weapon supply from. So I'm going to focus on Hamas first, then I'll talk about Israel as well. So when you think about the what's going on in what has been going on in Gaza Strip, so what did the group of Hamas end up doing? They end up constructing and elaborating a very extensive tunnel complex that Israelis are unable to control or even find out. And that those tunnels, by the way, goes all the way under even the borders with Egypt. That's how far it goes. It goes from under Gaza all the way across the Egyptian border. And this is how Hamas end up getting most of its weapons, through those kind of tunnels. Of course, we know Iran provides Hamas with some weapons, but there are other sources to all this. And this, when the weapons cross through those tunnels, then it gets transported across into, or smuggled, that is, into Gaza. So you think about, for example, AK-47. We all know that AK-47 is Russians, right? Well, not necessarily, because what do Hamas fighters end up doing? They end up modifying the weapons. So you take, for example, the AK-47 assault rifles from both Russia and China, and they end up being reconfigured. You take, for example, the rocket-propelled grenade, and I'm going to show you an image here, guys. Here is one. So what are you looking at here? You're looking at the, by the way, we give credit to the AP for this picture, Associated Press. That's what. What are you looking at? You're looking at the Russian-designed 9M32 Sterla anti-aircraft missile. Remember what I said. What did I say? Russian design. That means what? The group get a hold of something like this and start modifying it and building their own. This is how, for example, when you think about Iran, why it has these advanced missile systems, that it's homegrown. All the weapons they've done, because we've been having sanctions on them for the last 38, 40 years. Didn't do anything, because they end up building their own, homegrown. So one best example I can share with you, and I'm going to get you the picture here for you to give you a quick example. One of the most important things that you need to know. Here is one here. It's called Tofan. Tofan means, that's an Arabic word, English word, Arabic word for flood. Tofan. So what is it? This one is an American model, by the way. So And this is sort of now that Iran has this as its in its arsenal. And Tofan is an anti-tank guided missile. It was reverse engineered from the American BGM-71 TOW or TOW missile. And this TOW missile was the production of the 1970s. So what the Iranians end up doing, and by the way, the Iranian intercepted this US-made drone. I was aware of the case because I used to travel to the region at that time. It was in 2011 when they got a hold of it. And this was produced by Lockheed Martin and the RQ-170 Sentinel. So what the Iranians end up doing is they end up reverse engineering this and start producing their own. The same argument I can make to you when we had the raid on what's his name, Osama bin Laden, back in Abbottabad. Okay, what happened to part of that helicopter that way? We had to blow it, okay, of course, but the Pakistanis got a hold of the debris, okay, and shipped it to a third party for reverse engineer because that helicopter had some really advanced technical stuff on it. One of them was it's making less noise. Usually a helicopter is known for noisy, right? Not this one that was used for the raid. And I'm very familiar with that. So to highlight to you the idea that when we hear the intelligence services or the mainstream media saying, oh, the Russians are sending weapons to Hamas, we have to take a step back and not fall for the trap, because it's very, very important. And that is the reason why when we start to think about how does Hamas get its own weapons. So, well, here's the thing. Like I mentioned earlier, let's just start with the AK-47s, which are both Russians and Chinese. So when you think about this, what the word I'm looking for, murky, that's the word I would use, murky arm trade, because it's a global level. If you only know what's going on behind the scenes as far as arm sales and so forth. So it is very, very, very difficult to determine and pinpoint exactly who's selling to whom. Sometimes you sell to country A and the weapon ends up with country D somewhere in the world. So a weapon that is manufactured in country A could end up in the hand of, in this case, Hamas. So what makes us certain that it's coming from Russia? Now, one thing is certain that I know for a fact is that Russia did deliver some type of weapons to two countries. One of them is Iran, the other one is Yemen. And of course, the intelligence community had to confirm all that. We all know because we talked about it, guys. That's a sort of a fait accompli. It's a done deal. So, however, what the weapons that is used by Hamas now, because they took and reverse engineered few items that been getting their hands on. So, okay, and the fighters are using a variety of Soviet era weapons designed back then. So what they end up doing is copying that and manufacturing a different set of it. Because if you think about countries like Iran, and we all do it, all countries do it. So if they get a hold of certain type of technology, they're gonna reverse engineer it. Simple as that. Yeah, some call it theft, some call it whatever. It's a normal practice. All countries do it. So, and sort of where the difference is, and this is where that confusion that I wanted to clear up for you guys. When certain type of weapons that traces its roots to, let's say, the Soviet Union back then, meaning Russia, that is, it's not necessarily that Russia has shipped those weapons. No, what the Russians end up doing is giving permission to imitate that particular weapon. And this is exactly the case here with Hamas, using certain type of weapons that the Russians gave their permission, said, yeah, you can imitate it, but we'll not be using our own. Because again, the identification number that identified the weapons with. This is why when you see this picture here, as I said, it's Russian design. No, this one right here, the US Javelin. So, was the Russian get a hold of? They can send it to whomever. When you think about this one right here, guys, this is a sniper rifle. This is a domestic copies, which means what? It produced inside Gaza Strip. This is the domestic copies of the AM-50 caliber. Those are Iranians. That's my point. So you have another, I think I have another, this is a manufacturing where they are producing the copy of this AM-50 Sayed. It's called Sayed. This is the rifle, a sniper rifle. Those are Iranian made. And that is what my point is. So for us to right away assume that the Russians are sending weapons to Hamas, no. That's the reason why I wanted to do this for you guys. Clear up this, because you're going to be hearing soon. You will be hearing or you see videos about it from some other entities, platforms, or whatever. So at least you have a background information to base your assessments on whatever it's been stated. So. And so because the idea that Israel now is not able to sort of get its hands on those weapons, it won't be able to anyway, because they couldn't even defeat the group or finding out with where those tunnels are. It's very, very important to understand this dynamics. Now, if we are to think about where Israel gets its weapon supplies from, well, you have to go back a little bit in history here. And to what year we're going to have to go to? 1948. So, since 1948, it's because the history of what took place in that. So, given the emergence or creation of Israel at that time, it became the idea of, well, one thing we have to do is we have to ensure that this country, because the countries surrounding the neighborhood per se might end up being hostile forever, which is the case. Except you get some countries, which, by the way, before I forget, one key information I need you to know. You will never hear this anywhere else. The United States reached out to an Arab country to ask Russia not to provide any weapons to Hamas. I do not know which Arab country. I have my guess. And I want you guys to guess also. So if you will be kind, type in a chat box, which Arab country do you think the United States reached out to? And it did, and I confirmed it. But I do not know the country. What I confirmed was the contact. So asking that Arab country to convince the Russians not to send a ship or help or whatever Hamas with anything. Which country, in your opinion, might be? And again, we're just guessing on this. And I'll repeat, we're just guessing on this. I have my own reason for why I'm guessing this country, because again, I look at the history and I've dealt with this kind of stuff before. Farhad Razavi, United Arab Emirates, no. Camp 35, Egypt, no. The possibility is there. I'm not saying it's not. It's just, to me, with this particular, I don't see. Saudis, no. Saudis playing both sides, of course. But I can see the logical argument on your part, guys, that it make more sense. Turkey, and Syria, no, we don't have good relations. Iran, we have to go through a third party. So, and the way I think about it, again, why am I basing this on? I'm basing it on the trends. We've done this before on many occasions. I was in the region where we had to go to this country and ask and all. This country is Oman, a tiny, tiny country. I don't know if I have a map here to show you the region, but no. Let me see. No, I don't have the. It has to be the region of. Oh yeah, right here. Let me see. You won't see it. Is too tiny. Is the Gulf very tiny island. So Oman. Anytime we dealt with Iran through third party, we went through Oman. Oman, not Amman. Amman is the capital of Jordan. Oman. Oman is a small sultanate, very laid back. You don't hear much about them because they're so small, but they're playing a role in navigating, playing the role of mediators. But that's, again, my guess based on my own experience. That's the only way I see it. Let me see if I can see it. No, I was hoping to see it on the map, but it's not. So anyway, let's go back to our conversation about how Israel gets its weapons. So the idea that Israel was psychologically, this is where the role of psychology comes in. That is the reason, again, why I did the video for you about the link between psychology and geopolitics. I don't do random, guys. There is always a reason for what I do. And it becomes the idea of, from that point forward, from 1948 forward, psychologically, Israel was always on the edge, and it will remain for whatever foreseeable time left, because that's how it starts to be felt, that it's a matter of time. I feel Israel dug a hole for itself, big time. So the idea that prior to the wars of 1948-49, 1956, 1967, and the last one, when was the last war between the Arabs and Israel? What year was it, guys? If anybody can, I gave you the first three. There was one more. What year was it? Just type in the year, please, if you know it. 67? No, after that was another one. Muslim revert. You close. Khalid. Oh, where is it? Khalid. Khalid. Khalid el-Barajaj. You got it. 1973. That is correct. 1973. And of course, when you consider all those conflicts, so Israel will have to, and for its own defense, it had to spend more money on defense, for about 4.5. And when we say Israel had to spend on its defense, it's the money we are giving to Israel. It comes from the US. We've been giving Israel money since 1948. Most Americans have no idea. It used to be, if I am not mistaken, 2.4. Don't quote me on this, guys, because I don't remember the exact number. It's about 2.3, $2.2 billion a year. Then it dropped to 1.8, 1.7 or 1.8, one of those. Still, by far, Israel get the most. So far, they got about 300, and I disclosed this in the video I did for you guys earlier, the recorded one. It's almost $350 billion so far. Now, when it comes down to the weapons, of course, the U.S. is providing most of it, if not all. There are some give or take here that gets transferred from some other places. So, and I found one particular information from it's an entity that I kind of always verify their information, and so far it always came up accurate. So, and that gives me confidence to disclose them in my Russia book, and I'm aware of them from way back. And this one is the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute that deals with arms trades and so forth. So for Israel's transfers of the weapons, which is about 68% of its weapons import from 2013 to 2022 came from the United States. And guess what? Another 28% of its weapons comes from another country. Can you guys guess which country that is? It might shock you. So I want you just to guess. I'll give you a hint. It's a European country. I mean, I was aware of certain aspects, but not to the percentage that I found through this research. Which country? In Europe? No, Europe. Sam, Karina, you got it. It's Germany. Germany. 28% of its weapons goes to. As a matter of fact, I was aware of two main deals. Those has to do with the submarines. The Germans have some good submarines, and they built and sold those to Israel. Yeah, Germany. Makes you just wonder, right? And how is this funded, by the way? It is funded in Israel, how this weapons is funded by part of the $3.3 billion of military aid we give Israel annually. Yeah, it's 3.3. So, by the US. That's how it is funded. Just to highlight to you. So when you think about since the beginning of October, the conflict between Israel and Hamas, we have provided about 5,000 MK-84 ammo, a type of sort of a 2,000-pound bombs as of late December 2023. And in addition to other artillery shells and all that stuff. So my point in all this, my point is to highlight to you that both entities, there's always sources of where that weapon will have to come from. So now there is one aspect also that I need you to understand is that particular Iranian, this one right here, guys. Where's the image? Right, this sniper rifle, the AM-50. This AM-50, so which is part of the whole collection of what the Hamas has in its arsenal. It came from about 4 entities: China, Russia, North Korea, and Bulgaria. In the case of Bulgaria, let me back up here. Let me back up here because I don't want you guys to get so confused with so many. We're looking at the rifle, the sniper rifles, the ones you are looking at the image right there. Those are Iranian made, but Hamas is sort of copying this and producing its own. Then you have the AK-47s, which is the model from China and Russia. And the Hamas is copying this and changing modifications. You can do this to weapons. You can modify a few things here and there. Then you have the built rocket propelled grenades, those coming from North Korea and Bulgaria. And you have also the anti-tank rockets also being shipped into Gaza. That's my point. I want you to get an idea of there is not one source of where this particular aspects of weapons come in. So for the statements to say, oh, is the Russians sending weapons, let alone the statements coming from the Ukrainian intelligence service. I mean, come on. Are you going to believe what the Ukrainian government is saying? And this is exactly what I'm saying. The point of, could it be that some weapons that's been captured by the Russians don't need it, don't want it, send it to Hamas. The possibility is there. So, and this is why I'm not surprised that something like this here will end up in Gaza being used. And actually, there are certain aspects that's been targeting tanks, Israeli tanks, to To my knowledge, you're going to have something that is a little bit sophisticated to take down a tank. And that's my point in all this. So that's what I'm saying. Always, guys, do not jump to a conclusion the moment you hear, oh, the Russians are sending, because it's not confirmed. It is not confirmed. And once again, what I can confirm for you is that Russia did send a certain type of weapons to Yemen and certain type of weapons to Iran. The one that went to Iran, it's an upgrade level, including somebody said one time that it was the Russians sent a nuclear missile. No. Those are nuclear capable. In other words, if Iran has the technology and the know-how, they can go ahead and upgrade that missile into becoming a nuclear one. But as far as Russia sending, no, it didn't. Now, the question mark is left. The question that is left is, could Russia help Iran? What do you guys think? In your opinion, could Russia help Iran when it comes down to the nuclear aspects? Yeah, because the Russian president did say this publicly, that he stated, and I remember, I'm paraphrasing here, he said, we will arm certain groups and you will know what it's like. This is his message to the United States. And this is why all of a sudden in Israel they are wondering they couldn't defeat the group, but the group is being armed by some entities. So let me see what your answer is, guys. Brits, I'm sorry. All right, guys, please make sure to keep the conversation civil here. You know, I'm taking a look here to see. So, and I don't talk about ideology here, so please refrain from certain statements, or I'm going to start taking people out or removing them. Simple as that. Yeah, we're here to learn, guys. So please, if you are here and wanted to learn something, you are most welcome. If you're here to just whatever, I will appreciate it if you can just take off. Simple as that. Because I will not allow it. And it's our community and I care for it. All right, let me I know I even forget what was the question I asked you guys. All right, let me see here, guys. What okay, I think one thing here is getting a little bit out of, I'm noticing. Okay, I'm gonna have to remove certain things here, guys, because I will not allow. Yeah, no way. So, all right. All right, I think I didn't get the answer. Where is that one? Anyway, let's move on, and because I'm almost towards the end here, guys. So this is just wanted you to understand the big picture as to where it's not a secret that Hamas gets its weapons from Iran. It is not a secret. But also Hamas produces its own domestically. This is no different than the Hezbollah group, which are producing some internally. The same thing to a degree in Yemen. But to my knowledge, Yemen and Iran, both of them received some shipments of weapons from Russia. Simple as that. So this is how I see it. Anyway, that's what I wanted to guys to share. That's all I have. And usually, if I am done, I am done. I don't just keep rumbling here for no reason. Okay, let me take a question or two from you guys, and we'll just go from there. All right, let me see if there's any questions from you. Let me just go from there. So be aware, guys. You're gonna be hearing, or you're seeing some videos coming up soon. Oh, the Russians are sending weapons, whatever. I mean, listen to it. I am not suggesting otherwise. Just use your judgment. Use your judgment. Question, John Dharma, did North Korea send weapons to Iran? Yes, there was some assistance in the nuclear field, especially I'm sorry, not the nuclear field, in the missile technology that I was aware of, that the North Korean did provide assistance to Iranians regarding the missile technology. This is one of the reasons, guys, why I'm telling you this based on experience, or my knowledge, that is, without talking classified, of course. This is why we couldn't attack Iran. Israel cannot do it by itself. Israel will have to count on the U.S., and the U.S. will have to be at the front conducting it. Israel can't do it on its own. But also the fear is because we do not know what do they have. And they might surprise. That is the reason. And one thing that I was made aware of from way back is that North Korea was working in close proximity with Iran regarding nuclear technology. All right, let me see another question here before I sign off, because I gotta go do a few other things and prepare for what I need to do for next week. Question, Francis Tango, question. I mean, if you can get weapons into Gaza, why not food into Gaza, water? Those are two different, because when you look at the map, let me just show the picture. The food that was supposed to get in, usually the food gets in right here from the border all the way south, not this map, but this one right here on Egypt. Well, the border between Israel and Egypt is sort of close, and this is why the refugees, the people who left Gaza, end up being. But Israel is also blocking. There's a blockade for the aid that come through the ports. Now, it's one thing to move weapons. It's another thing to move food and so forth. So this is why the problem is for the group is focusing more on weapons than on food. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. So, okay, I'll see one more question here, guys, before I sign off. Question. Yes, you did ask that one earlier. Guys, that's all I have. I am going to sign off here. Much appreciate you being here. Thank you for keeping it civil here. And as I mentioned earlier, I will have no tolerance for when things start to get out of control. This is not about policing. I am not a policeman here, but it is my community, and I will defend it by any means. So if somebody doesn't like this, please don't join us here. Simple as that. So appreciate you guys. Have a safe weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week. As always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time. Bye-bye.